Okay, guys. This is Mr. Heiss. I'm re-recording the lesson that we had earlier today because, as some of you know, we did have a bit of an error running out of space and time. Okay. I'm going to do this in a very quick fashion, about 5 minutes of a video, to talk about the basic ideas that we had. If you look up here, guys, one of the things that we had, the idea was to know your selection vocabulary from the topic at hand. Right, and we need to make sure that we're reviewing those and understanding what they mean. You want to also make sure that you're understanding the difference between fact and opinion and be able to recognize instances of this throughout the reading story. That means that basically, guys, you need to make sure that you know that a fact is something that actually happened and an opinion is something that is someone's feelings about a matter. You also want to know what a main idea is. As we talked about in class, it is the main idea of what is going on in that story. Okay? You need to make sure that you understand what a main idea is in the context of the story as well. Okay? You also want to make sure that you understand what it means to be in awe of something. Okay? That is a huge one. And be able to understand what that means in context. Okay? So if you're sitting here and something like goes above you and you're like, wow. Remember, think about like your mouth being open and you're in awe, right? If you were to go ahead and let out a noise, it'd be awe, wow, right? You're in awe of it because it's impressive, okay? So you need to know what that means. We also understood that it is important to know what it means to go into space and how time-consuming and exhausting that might be. So we had talked about what had happened prior to the Apollo 11 landing and why it's important that astronauts in particular get lots of rest before they go. Because just like how we're coming to school, we need to make sure that we have plenty of rest and energy in order to make sure that we perform the best. And we do this every single day, but astronauts, this is the first time they're landing on the moon, so it was a big deal. So they wanted to make sure they were tired out, but they didn't get the chance. Now you want to think about why that is. Think about what we had talked about in class. Okay. Remember that we need to understand what sentence fragments are. Sentence fragments run on subject-verb agreement and how to use correct punctuation. We know what those are. Remember, we talked about fragments not having a subject or a verb to make complete sense. Okay? And when I say the word run on, it means like a runaway train, right? There's no punctuation. There's no break in it. Okay? And we also have to make sure that we're understanding and discussing the subject-verb agreement, which means that the subject and the verb make sense when they're working together. Okay? Okay. We had Joseph earlier today talk about what happens when the lunar module went to the dark side of the moon. Now, if you take a look at this little model that I've got, it's not the moon, but it's Earth. Imagine that the Earth is putting out signals coming over here. And this is my little lunar module. Excuse the bell. Little lunar module's coming about, and they're trying to get a radio signal to that particular lunar module. It's not going to work very well if it's on the other side. Remember, we talked about why it's important to make sure that we have that particular direct contact between it. Because when it went to the dark side of the moon, there wasn't any radio contact. And we talked about how a lot of the people over in Mission Control are holding their breath because they were so nervous whether or not they were going to make it. They weren't in contact with them during that time. It was planned, they knew it was going to happen, but it didn't mean that they weren't nervous. Okay. We also want to make sure that you're understanding Neil Armstrong, especially when he's talking about in the context of the eagle, right? What does it mean to talk about the eagle? And make sure that you're looking at quotes in the story regarding the eagle. Excuse me. A few things to deliver. Hello. I'm in the middle of recording, guys. So, you can help me.
Recording?
Yeah.
What is
Okay, wait, look it up. I gotta go. Come on in, but quietly, okay, because I'm going to be teaching. Quietly. Whatever you need to do, quietly, okay? Okay. Also, guys, in the context of the Sea of Tranquility, we want to make sure that we understand why it's important to know what that means. So when the Sea of Tranquility, we talked about how it's a flat surface and why that's really important to know and understand. Right? So the Sea of Tranquility came about when we're coming down, we're landing, and it's nice and smooth surface so that it's safe. You need your test. Okay. What do you guys think so? About your test? Okay. So just give me a few minutes. Bell. Okay. It's okay. Okay. And I'll be right with you. And the last few things that we need to understand is making sure that we know what it means that the whole lunar context was a success. Okay, so sorry for the interruption, guys, but hopefully this helps you.